Hello and welcome to another episode of Cowboys Takeover. I'm your host, Aaron James, and my friends, Mr. Wise Counsel Jason Kent is out under the weather today, so it's going to be me and you and Cowboys Nation breakdown here. We're going to do our coming to cover our pregame episode as the Cowboys look to travel out to North Carolina, to face the Panthers out in Charlotte. And as you see here in the background, our boys go on the road this week. So we're going to do what we typically do, which is break down a little bit about the Carolina Panthers. Came across some interesting information over this week, and Panthers haven't been really all that relevant this season. A lot of the interest has been around Bryce Young, their number one overall pick. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. And Jason, man, we love you and hope you feel better. Looking forward to having you back. So let's start to break down. Let's start with the schedule here in Carolina and what they've done so far. So they start off with a 6-game losing streak, and what kind of blows my mind is of those first six games, only 2 of those losses were one possession. So far this season, Bryce Young hasn't had a passing game of over 250 yards. He's come pretty close, only one at 247, followed by a 235, and the rest have been in the somewhat hundreds. They bring in Miles Sanders to help with their run game, and he's not even leading the team in carries at this point. How they were able to get past the Texans, given the Texans' role and what CJ Stroud has been doing, couldn't really tell you, but let's call it what it is. Carolina is in a rebuilding kind of year. And I know you probably see this here on the screen here. Another interesting fact. So the cost for a ticket to the game, generally their lowest ticket cost is in the mid-30s, and because Cowboys are coming to town, it's likely going to be a home game, feel like a home game for the Cowboys. Cowboys Nation travels well. $146 from $35. So, when Cowboys show up, like I've said before, it's everyone's Super Bowl. Even if your team is not in contention, that the country's going to be watching. And we have a 1 o'clock kickoff this coming Sunday Eastern time. So looking forward to that. So again, when you come to face a team like the Panthers, it's really, I hate to say it's padding the stats, continue to work on some fundamentals of the team, clean up some stuff. Before I get to that, let me just comment a little bit on the roster, or I should say key players, right? So Bryce Young so far has just over 1,500 passing yards this season. Like I mentioned before, they bring in Miles Sanders. He's had 71 carries so far. I'm going to butcher this name here, but Chuba Hubbard, 94 carries compared to Sanders' 71. He's averaging 3.7 yards a carry versus Sanders at 3.2, and he only has 351 total yards rushing. I mean, this team is just struggling. 813 total rushing yards this season. They also, in the offseason, acquired who's now their number one wideout, Adam Thielen. And if Adam had a really good run with the Vikings last season. He really took a major step down. I wouldn't even say he was their quality number 2 guy there, with Justin Jefferson becoming the clear number 1. But he ends up coming to Carolina to help out their rookie quarterback. He has 652 total receiving yards on 86 targets. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm just going off memory here, but that is about the same amount of targets that CeeDee Lamb has. And CeeDee is at, around 950 yards, whereas Adams at 652. He does have 4 touchdowns. Their number 2 wideout in yards is DJ Chark. So all in all, if you have one of these guys that I've mentioned, one of these names on offense, on your fantasy team, you're not really doing well. Let's call it what it is. If one of these players that I mentioned on the Panthers is on your starting lineup, you've likely thrown in the towel on this season. I hate to say that. But that's a little bit about the Panthers. What I did was, what I like to do is I like to go into the press conference room and watch the videos of what the coaches are talking about and how they think of us and how they plan to prepare. So if you don't know, Frank Reich comes in to coach the Panthers this season after a bad outing in his time in Indianapolis. So after I think the 3rd or 4th game of the year, Frank hands off the play calling duties to Jim Thomas, I believe his name is, the offensive coordinator. Now, after about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, he's decided to take back the reins on calling the plays. So what does that tell you? I mean, it at least tells me that he likely believes his job is on the line. And if you're a coach and you believe your job's on the line and you're known for your play calling and your offensive schemes and production, you're going to feel that pressure to want to go in and put your career in your own hands and make a difference. So to say that this game against the Cowboys on a national stage for a coach like Frank Reich is, anything short of a like playoff type game, just from his standpoint, right? It's a must. It's I guess I can't say it's a must win because they just don't have the roster, but he's gonna want to use. He has an opportunity to use a game like this and go to ownership and say, "Hey, look what I was able to do against the Cowboys." Now, if he can come out with a win, he probably almost secures uh, his his coaching spot for next year, maybe. Still a lot of games left to go, obviously, but as far as the only thing we have to look out for, I mean, he's going to show um, a lot of desperation. He's going to be as creative as he can possibly be. Um, I expect to see a lot of aggressiveness on 4th downs, um, a couple trick plays. I mean, I expect the kitchen sink to come out this game. So that's a little bit about the Panthers. Before I get into Cowboys and my expectations for this game, I want to talk over the injury report. I'm not going to get all into Leighton Vander Esch. If you haven't heard, Vander Esch is officially out for the season and contemplating what the rest of his NFL career is going to look like. So I'm going to save that conversation for Vander Esch, a fan favorite, a player that's been loyal to this team. I'm going to save that breakdown for when Jason's here. But going into this game, we have one player on injured reserve as of the 15th of this week. So Peyton Hendershot, due to his ankle, is designated to return from IR on Wednesday. Let's see. So the tight end is actually a full participant in practice, according to John Machado. So pretty healthy going into this week, which is a good thing. no matter how you look at it, from a health perspective, I think our number one concern, just because of history, is going to be Tyron Smith, right? We need Tyron to be healthy, to solidify our offensive line. Um, no negative reports. I think he's basically continue to be rested for the most part, have limited practices. So let's hope that he has a productive game. I would be absolutely fine if he just goes out for the first half. This game should be out of reach for the Panthers by the first half. That's my expectation. So let's talk a little bit about our Cowboys, what I anticipate or what I would like to see going into this game. So for me, let's start with the offense. Dak Prescott. Dak has continued to be in the mainstream media this week, and because he's had 4 productive games, even dating back to the LA Chargers game, he is seems to be a front runner. I guess maybe not a front runner, but uh, in if you take kind of recency bias into account, around the MVP chat, his name is coming up. And and if you're Dak, I mean, I don't think he honestly cares about that. But as a fan, you want to see him succeed. I think it's a great individual award, and I would love to see as a fan Dak bring the MVP name and title home. So because of that, I think Dak needs to continue to have the same amount level of production that he has been. He's going to get knocked on that it's not really a good team; it's a bottom tier team. But regardless, at the end of the season, the stats got to show, and you can't have a mediocre performance one way or another on a team like the Panthers. So you have to get out and capitalize. So what I'm looking at here for Dak is 325 plus passing yards, and that's because he's likely not going to play in the fourth quarter. That's my prediction. I'd also like to see him get 3 touchdowns. Um, I suspect, again, because he's only going to play 3 quarters, assuming if we have the production that we're supposed to, maybe 30 to 33 pass attempts. So something along those lines. With CD Lamb, I think everyone is aware by now, he made history with being the only receiver with 3 consecutive 10 reception, 150 plus yards performances. I would really like to see that continue to separate yourself, make it difficult for anyone to overtake that spot. So would like to see CD have his big game production again. I think he can have it fairly quickly. Um, if some of those targets end up going to Cooks, and Cooks has over 150 coming off a 173-yard game, I'll take that as well. I mean, I just want these guys to continue to be in rhythm because next week, uh, Thanksgiving Day, with the Commanders coming into town, I think they're sneaky good. They continue. I mean, a division rival. They they basically pushed Philadelphia to the limit twice. Um, and going into the season, I had that as a trap game. So I'm gonna have I'm gonna have to talk myself out of that in the coming days. But let's continue to focus here on the Panthers. Now for the defense, I expect our defense to hold this Carolina's offense to, I'd say, under 250 total yards. Um, I'm just kind of eyeballing their season points average, and it looks like it's probably around 15 or 16 points. So I my expectation is that our defense should hold this team to 10 or less. Again, I expect some garbage time at the end. Parsons has yet to really have a game where we saw a couple games last year. I mean, one game that's coming into mind just right away is the Chicago game, right, where he has that he causes a fumble and then returns it for a touchdown. I just really want to see Micah. I mean, he plays so hard. he makes a difference and an impact, even though some of the stats don't materially show, just because all the attention that he gets, the double teams, but he still applies the pressure. I would like to see Parsons, really have one of those runaway games where, multiple sacks, 2.5 plus. Um, and, as far as Bland and Gilmore, maybe selfishly, I want these guys to, it'd be great if one of them, especially Bland, could come down with another pick, but I want them to be healthy. Like I don't want to, harp on this too much, but when you go against these teams, I mean, you should be able to use your full roster, have some guys get some limited reps, other guys get more reps. Speaking of reps, I really want to see Mozzie Smith, have a very productive game. It'd be awesome if he can get his first sack of his career. For Mozzie, so far this season, definitely a disappointment being a first round pick for the Cowboys. I would say that this would be a good opportunity for us to give big boy Hankins some rest, and allow Mozzie to go out there and eat. And I've said this over the past couple of weeks in regards to blitz packages and getting our men used to playing a little bit more zone. I mean, we're predominantly a man-to-man defense, and that's because we have a great tandem in cornerbacks. But for me, like, I feel like you have to show going into the playoffs, we're going to be a playoff team. You have to show some different looks and have other teams guessing a little bit more. And we're also going to have to mix it up at times. All right. So I want to see our defense to be able to show that and have that practice, that in-game, those in-game reps of different zone blitzes and zone lineups. So that's really what I got for the boys this week, my friends, and the defense. Oh, I guess a couple other things I would add in regards to coaching. I really want to see less than 3 penalties, 3 or less. Okay, I know sometimes the refs just get out of control and they get really happy with those flags. 3 or less, I'd be fine with. And how about a game with no 3 and outs? I think that would be a big win, right? I mean, that's one way you can give the Panthers momentum and give them life. You really give that to any team when you just go 3 and out. So I'd like to see McCarthy, and especially in the first half, let's continue don't fool ourselves. Don't try to start with the run. We're not a running team. We're a passing team. So let's continue to get Dak in space. Let's see how the protection looks this week. He should have plenty of time. Shouldn't have to use his legs all that much this game. Again, I think this is going to be a breeze for us. Cowboys are favored. Last I checked on FanDuel, around at 10.5 points. I do think they cover by a lot. Again, kind of hard to tell because I do again suspect some garbage time, Cooper Rush to come in. I'm going to say Cowboys win this game 38-9. All right, so we have a nice home victory. And look, if this game does get out of line, which it very well can by halftime, we get a rest, put in some backups for some reps, and be ultra fresh going in to play the Commanders. That sounds pretty good to me. That's like best case scenario. For a short week, playing against a division rival, in a quarterback like Sam Howell, that I'll tell you, Commanders fans they seem to be sold. They appear to be sold that they found their guy. So that's what I have for today, my friends. Appreciate you watching. I want to remind everybody that we are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, streaming on YouTube, streaming on Facebook, You can look for our post-game episode. As of right now, we're planning to drop it soon after the game, so Sunday evening. It'll be ready for your Monday morning commute, and then we will share then as to our pregame for Turkey Day. So until next time, I'm Aaron James. Wise Counsel Jason Camp will be back for our next episode. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game. God bless.